Hello, I am live here with Bold Like a Leopard, and he's working on some really exciting pieces that he wants to talk about. One is a live stream that he has going on for tomorrow. Another is a live stream he's trying to set up, but it doesn't have a time slot yet. And another is a written piece for the Hard News Network that he works with. So, Bold, why don't you tell me about that live stream tomorrow? That sounds really exciting.
Okay, if you look at the screen I'm about to share, this is I published it a few days ago, and it concerns a number of articles and pieces that have been done on MSNBC specifically and NBC San Diego uh, about the 17 Russians. Was it 17 or 13? It might have been 13 Russians indicted in February for, I guess they would say,
I
manipulating the election.
number, I'm so sorry.
Yeah, I think it was 13. It was either 13 or 17. It's not going to matter because they're going to get zero to come here and actually stand trial. That's the long and short of it. But in any case, and I'll share it with you analytical so you can share the link.
Okay,
Um,
that's good.
so this was of course in February, and one of the one of the publications that was very active in promoting this story was Politico. And Politico tried to use this issue in order to trap Senator Sanders from Vermont, Bernie Sanders, of course.
Right.
We're probably all familiar with him. And to be clear, I'm
Everybody
not.
knows who Bernie is because he
Yeah,
was like,
absolutely. And I'm not a supporter of Bernie Sanders, but I have a number of friends who are or have been,
right.
and they use the statements of a certain reporter over in San Diego named John Mattis. And John Mattis was trying to claim that in September 2016, he had informed the Hillary Clinton for America campaign that Russian trolls were trying to infiltrate the Bernie Sanders campaign and swing voters to not vote for Hillary Clinton and therefore give the election to Donald Trump. So essentially, that was his claim. He claimed that he was an administrator for a number of these groups, specifically in San Diego, and that in the wake of his discovery, he went and looked at a number of other Bernie Sanders groups around the country. So this is not the Sanders campaign.
So,
It's
so some individuals actually got caught up in this, and that's who you're interviewing tomorrow in the live stream. Is that my understanding? Is that's my understanding? Is that correct?
sure, and I think many of these many of these people, first of all, some of them were they still are very involved in the progressive community, and
Um,
but they're not. Of course, they're not people who work for you know Vladimir Putin. I mean, and
these are just Americans who were
it's
Bernie Bros
transparent.
and got slammed.
Yeah, Bernie. Yeah, and Bernie Bros. Usually people are thought of as Bernie Bros. To be like 20-something millennials. These are actually middle aged or
Ooh,
people
interesting.
who are leftists,
Right,
and
right, right.
obviously this.
That kind of makes sense because they're probably from like the whole like 60s movement or like the aftermath of the 60s movement, which was, when communism really kind of took off in America, but a lot of people don't realize that. So you're working on three different things. Tell us about the piece that you're writing for Hard News Network.
Which piece? You mean the
You said
one?
you were working on a really exciting piece in writing.
Okay, so there's another that one is not for hard news. It's for my personal blog. You're talking about the one
Oh, okay.
concerning
I'm
Britain.
sorry. I was mistaken.
Yeah, sorry. Maybe I misstated it. So there's another issue going on in Britain with Speaker's Corner. Everybody who's been monitoring what's happened with Count Dankula and Tommy Robinson and the censorship over there. So there is an activist over there. He happens to do a lot of important work there for the Israel advocacy movement. And unfortunately, I think that he's gone the way of the appeaser, and he's going he's actually um, taking the side more of the Dawa people who go to Speaker's Corner and try to convert people to Islam,
Right.
which
Yeah, in
was
one of the videos, I don't know if it was Tommy Robinson's video or somebody else's video, they were saying that originally the speaker's corner had been a place where everybody could go and speak, and it was sort of like a free speech zone within the UK, because they don't have free speech laws like the United States does. They don't have a First Amendment, but they did, up until recently, they had this speaker's corner that was, and I don't think it was ever official. I don't know, maybe if any UK people see this, they can let me know what the deal is on that. But my understanding is that it was just sort of a free speech zone within the United Kingdom. I believe it's Hyde Park in London or near London, and it's a particular corner within Hyde Park where individuals would go and they would just, it was just an understanding. I don't think it was ever legally put on paper, but there was a tradition, my understanding, for 300 years that was a free speech zone. So you are working on something, a written piece about that free speech zone and how it's been overtaken by the Islamicists, correct?
yeah, they've basically used their strength in numbers and the fact that the police would never hassle them, and nobody's going to force Muslims not to speak at the speaker corner. I wouldn't do it either. But when Robinson went over there, Tommy Robinson, and tried to speak, they came in a huge mob of people and tried to force him out. So essentially, the person I'm talking about, what he did was he thanked the people who were in charge of that crowd of Muslims for not being more violent. Those were his words. And we were just trolling him for days on end, and he couldn't understand what was why we were making fun of it, because some of these people they justify adult child marriages, they justify polygamy. I mean,
Right,
you
right.
can
Oh,
you could
absolutely.
I mean
So
you could make the argument for polygamy true, but I'm just putting it out there. There
they overwhelmed him, and they basically made it so that he was not able to speak at Speaker's Corner. And you're working on a piece about that
I
now.
believe I believe he was able to speak there, but they were trying to break through the police lines.
Right, and yeah, so you're working on a piece about that, and then the third piece that you were saying you were working on is that you're trying to set up a live stream with
Well,
someone that.
that was it. That was the one that I'm trying to get him into a debate. So I'm writing a piece about that, and I'm trying to get him into a
Oh, so
debate.
that was this
Yeah,
Jewish person from the UK,
from the
Cohen, I
UK.
think you said his
Correct.
name was.
Yeah.
Cohen with an E. Now that's an interesting thing. I don't know if our viewers are aware of this. There's Cohen with an E, which is a Jewish name, and there's Cohen with an A, which is an Irish name. So that can trip people up sometimes, I think. So you're actually working on two pieces, or?
No, that's kind of in tandem together. So the third one is Farrakhan feminism,
Oh,
which
right, right.
I never go a day without talking about Farrakhan feminism. I actually kind of annoyed a mutual friend of ours, Tree of Logic,
Oh,
earlier
yeah,
this week about it.
I was watching that.
Yeah, it was pretty.
I,
And then
I was watching the call-in show when that happened.
so
Because, I mean, I mean, I actually agree with her on that your way of going about it. But I mean, I think you wanted to use it to wake up the activists on the left, and I think that perhaps you partly have the right idea and partly have the wrong idea. I think that it's a good way to wake up people who are not activists, actually. I think it's a good point to use, and I think it can wake people up. But I think that it would be better for waking up people. I think in general, people who are out there and active, SJWs protesting on the left with signs. I think those people are pretty much a lost cause. But I do think that we should be trying to deal with the people who maybe vote Democrat but aren't,
well,
hardcore
I
SJWs.
have to disagree both with I think both you and Tree were kind of first of all, I think we have a difference in attitude, myself and the two of you, because I know a lot of people who are progressive or liberal, self-declared, and they're observing what's going on with aspects of the left, and they're kind of abandoning it, and they're in the
Well,
process of doing it.
there's definitely a lot of people coming off the left, but I feel like I don't feel like my from the videos I've seen of people who come over from the left, it doesn't seem to me that these are people who came from, like, I mean, some came from hardcore SJWism, but I feel like a lot of these people were, you know, default leftists.
Well, the issue that I think is important to remember is that I believe in individualism. I don't know about you guys, but I do. So,
well, yeah,
yes,
of course. I
yes.
mean,
So,
that's all
so,
about the right is individualism. But I
so
think that there's a lot of people who don't really understand politics the way we do because we spend so much time with it.
Just hear me out for a second. So the idea is that if we believe in individualism, then regardless of the fact that on the left they don't believe in it, we know that each person pretty much decides what their beliefs are based on conscious decisions. Is that correct? So yes, they may be, you know, lethargically drifting into progressivism, as we observe a lot of them are, you know, because of education or because of the people they hang out with, or because of pop culture or whatever. But
mainstream media, I mean, one of my frustrations is that the mainstream media has such a lock on people. There's so many people who want right-wing things for this country. Probably 80% of the country wants basically, you know, at least moderately conservative policies.
So you still have to hear the point that I'm trying to make about this issue here. So
right.
So the issue is that with every person, I think, who is part of this women's march. So let's talk about the women's march. I feel that there is something in this topic in Farrakhan feminism. I think that there's a lot of people in there that the domino will finally fall, and they'll be like, "Holy shit! What the fuck am I participating in? This is ridiculous."
I don't know if you're gonna get that from the leaders, but I think
I'm not looking for the leaders.
Get that from people who are just like out in the march, and I'm not sure how you can really reach them, because I do think that Tree had a really good point that if you try and do it in their actual forums, like if you join their Facebook groups and like you tell them this stuff, I think that you're going to get banned before too many people see it. But maybe hashtagging feminism instead of just hashtagging Farrakhan feminism on Twitter, hashtagging feminism and putting up your videos, I think would be a good way to try to get your message out there, because I think it's a good message, but I'm not sure you're trying to deliver it to, like, Tree had a good point that if you try to go too much into the heart of people who are thinking that way, you're gonna, like she said, they're gonna delete it, they're gonna ban you. But if you can try to get the message out in other ways where you're not gonna get deleted for getting it out there or get banned for getting out the message.
Yeah, I think that, well, so I think your critique is more about method, and her critique was more about whether it's a worthy endeavor altogether. And the thing is that
I don't know. I mean, I really,
when I was on that stream with her, so you know,
one of the things she said to you was that, you know, because you were saying you're going to go into their groups, and I think one of the things that she reacted with was she said, you know, well, you're just gonna they're gonna ban you and delete the post.
No, her attitude is like this. Have you ever seen The Water Boy with Adam Sandler?
I saw it when it came out in the theater. I don't remember too much about it.
So do you remember his mom? Her what's it? The catchphrase was, "They're all gonna laugh at you." So she's pretty much, I think Tree of Logic is at the point now, because she has been banned from Twitter unjustly, and she has been ostracized from a number of places where, you know, she's in a situation where she's despaired of getting a lot of the work she's doing out there. Also because of the Candace situation. She's right. She's right about those. But, you know, I have the attitude that
Well, I noticed that
I
Twitter
have the
goes
attitude
after
that
people who
if I'm
argue a
gonna,
lot on Twitter, and I don't really argue too much on Twitter. I just drop links and close the window.
well, that's what I do as well. But the attitude that she's been taking as far as this is really fatalist, and I'm not somebody. If that's what she's saying to me, then no, that's not really what I'm interested in doing. I am interested in changing minds. I've been working on a lot of things, and I have people who collaborate with me who still consider themselves progressive, and we're not gonna agree on everything. They're not going to become somebody who believes in everything that I read about in terms of economic freedom and reforming the FDA or whatever other issue I'm pushing. But whereas a lot of people they're all about the tribalism and they're all about the Trump train or whatever. I'll support President Trump on issues that I support, but it's not going to deter me from pushing issues and topics that I think are important for the broader public. So,
Yeah, well, I
that's
don't
kind of
know
my
if you heard,
attitude.
I called in ABL last night because I'm not really happy about the fact that Trump is going to strike in Syria. I don't agree with that.
Yeah, I have to take your side too. I talked about it with our friend Adrian yesterday. Yeah, same idea. So I mean, long story short, I know you want to
Oh, you mean just my stupid opinion?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
just so we you know I do believe that if I'm going to put out stories, they're not to convince conservatives to continue supporting conservatism. They're to convince people who want change. They want something to be better, whether it's the NCAA that I've written about or the housing authorities. NYCHA, by the way, in your city. I want to propose ideas that could help, alleviate problems, and that's my goal. My goal isn't to promote necessarily even politicians that I'm a huge supporter of, like Rand Paul, and that's basically what I do.
I agree with that. I believe in conservatives need to work more with ideas and less with supporting or going against candidates. I think we should stick to our ideas and promote our ideas. And that's something that the left does, and I think it's part of why the left is more successful in many ways than us, unfortunately. I think our ideas are better, but I don't think we promote them the way they do. They definitely promote their ideas. So you have that live stream tomorrow at 3 p.m. So if anybody's around to watch that, I think, they could tune in and people could definitely look forward to your items. Now you have your YouTube channel and you're on Twitter. Tell people where to find you.
Okay, so on Twitter it's at ChefLeopard. I believe on Facebook you can also find me. Although let's be honest, a lot of us are probably going to be abandoning Facebook soon. Also, Minds.com. I think that's also Chef Leopard. Bold Like a Leopard on Steemit. There's a longer list every time. At Chef Leopard on Patreon, even though I don't have much on there. And I just shared with you there is the link to the chat tomorrow.
Right. I'll have you send me all of these links and I'll put them all in the description for everybody. But I just figured, we'll get that out there on the video. So 3 p.m. tomorrow, anybody who's around should tune in for your interview on your YouTube channel.
Yes, progressives, conservatives, anybody who wants to know about fake news with Politico and MSNBC, tune in tomorrow 3 p.m.
All right, that sounds really great.
Spicy.
All right. Thanks so much for taking the time to speak with me on my channel today, Bold there.
All right, thanks for having me.
No problem.